Hello guys, welcome back to this hair modeling video series. In this video, I would like to show you how I tackled making this kind of ponytail hairstyle. I have been learning a lot more about hairstyling techniques lately, and I implemented a new workflow, which is more manual approach and it is more time consuming, but in return, you get more control over everything. I found this workflow to be more useful and make the process of even complex hair modeling and hair layer creation simpler overall. But before we start, I just wanted to mention that I'm still learning every day and my way of doing things is not like a best way, okay? So now, with all that being mentioned, let's begin. As always, we start off with gathering reference images. So I went to the Pinterest and typed in ponytail and gathered around 5 to 10 reference images from different angles. You don't need tons of reference images for this. You just need a handful of images that can give you the information about flow and volume of the hair, how each strand is creating pattern and clumps of hair, and so on. By using the reference images, I created a blockout quickly. As you can see, my blockout of the hair is pretty simple and rough, and it only took me around 15 minutes to make this. The purpose of the blockout is to sketch out the volume and the flow of the hair so that when you actually start modeling hair with haircuts, you can use it as a guide to ensure that everything will look good in the end. If you don't have a blockout, it is super easy to make a lot of mistakes. For instance, placement of haircuts, volumes, etc. And it is so hard to fix that mistakes. So even though it might look like a waste of time to do it, please don't skip this process. I follow the rule of only spending 15 to 2 hours max for the blockout process. Of course, you can spend more or less time depends on your skill level and complexity of a hairstyle, but it is always good to set the limit. I originally created this hair for a 24-hour study session that I did the other day, and I didn't have much time to create my own hair textures, so I just used textures that come with hair tool by default. So if you're thinking of following this video as a guide, you don't have to make your hair texture neither. Lucky you! Now bring your character and hair blockout to the blender, and we are going to make hair layer 0, which is used to cover up the scalp of the head. Now I'm going to append the sphere, delete the bottom half of it, and start shaping the form to match the blockout. For the layer 0, remember to make it go below the blockout itself, because we are going to make more layers on top of layer 0, so if you don't make it smaller than blockout, your final hair model will be over volumed. Once I have the general shape of the grid matched to the blockout, I'm going to split the one mesh into 5 smaller sections, because it gives me more control over hair distribution when we generate the haircuts, than trying to do it with one big mesh. To generate the haircuts, mark root of the grid as a sharp, press Ctrl-Shift-H, generate haircuts from grid. For this layer, we can have bigger strand width so that we can reduce the strand count, thus saving the polygon counts. Here, the work itself is simple. You just need to cover up the scalp with as little haircuts as possible. And make sure to assign the UV by go to the image editor as well. If you are having problem with matching the root of a haircut to the shape of a scalp, you can change the profile of the curve. To do that, select the curve, press Ctrl-Shift-H, select Manually Edit Profile. This will pop out the curve profile at the word origin, so grab the vertex and make this profile look less like a pointy triangle. Once you're done, select Close Curve Profile on the Hair Tool tab. My hair layer 0 looked like this in the end. So far, we have been following the same workflow that I use in my usual hair modeling videos, but things changes from these layers. We want to control and create the clumps of hair one by one, so we are not gonna be using this generate curves from grid feature that much. Instead, we are going to create a group of hair clumps and place them on the head manually. To create a group of hair clumps, we are going to append a plane, mark root as a sharp, and generate hair curves. I'm using the default hair textures from the hair tool, so in this case, I have 3 textures to use. So assign all these textures to the curves that we generated, and duplicate the curves with ID 0 and ID 1 or 2. Make them overlap and create slight angle differences, like so. And now, we are going to pay close attention to the reference images, and start recreating each unique hair clumps one by one. It sounds so much fun, right? But don't worry, it's not gonna be that bad. During the process, what you need to avoid here is to create same kind of pattern. If the same kind of hair clumps are sitting next to each other and flowing into the same way, it is going to look quite unnatural or artificial, as our eyes are designed to look for the pattern, so creating even the slight differences to each hair clumps would help. And as you are duplicating the hair curls and create new hair clumps, make sure to assign them different hair textures to avoid creating a repetitive look. You can use symmetry to save some time, but as you're going to walk towards the center line of the head, turn off the symmetry, otherwise it's going to look obvious and unnatural. Once you have finished creating the major shapes, take the individual hair curls and place it in the gap of those major shapes. This will create more variation to the hair design and make it look more interesting. Here's how the layer looks in the end. Now we are going to create the flyaway layers for the main hair section. You can decide to do this process later once we have all the hair features like fringe and a ponytail. It's all up to you. For the fringe, we are not going to be using the hair layer 0 since we don't need dense fringe for this hairstyle, so just use the same techniques that we use for the hair layer 1 for the main hair section to create the design. For the ponytail, there are many approaches we can take to create it, but for this project, we are going to use both generate curves from grid feature and manual approach together to make our life easier. So using your Blockout as a guide, we are going to create hair grid to generate hair curves. Now, we are going to generate hair curves, but how can we create nice curly look that Ponytail has in an easy way? My answer is to use generate curves feature. To use it, select the curves, press Ctrl+Shift+H, generate curves. The default setting is probably too much, so adjust the radius and frequency of the curves to get the desired look. Now you have nice curves to the hair, so spread out each haircut to create actual hair design. My advice here is to avoid working with a lot of haircuts at once, because that is gonna make it harder to create and manipulate the shapes, so instead have a low numbers of haircuts and increase the numbers as you need. Right now, probably there are a lot of gaps in between the hair strands, so your task from here is to fill in the gaps with haircuts. When you're working on the ponytail, make sure to look at the shape from many angles. If it doesn't look good from certain angles, you need to fix it. Now, once you have finished everything, your hair might look something like this. If you are planning to just render it out inside the Blender, your work is done. But if you are thinking of using this in-game engine, there is optimization process that you can do. Select all the hair cards, go to the curve setting tab on the right, reduce the curve resolution, right click, select copy to selected. This will reduce the polygon count of the hair cards all at once. Finally, press Ctrl-Shift-H, finalize hair, and your work is done. Now treat yourself with a nice cup of tea because you definitely deserve it for your hard work. Congratulations my friends, you have successfully finished this hair modeling process. This workflow is a bit more time consuming and a bit harder, so you might have struggled and failed many times during its process. But please don't discourage and give up, because real-time hair creation is really hard and takes a lot of time to get good at. Whether you succeed or not, you are always learning something new each time, so just relax and enjoy the hair modeling process. Personally, I enjoy tackling a slightly more difficult and complex hairstyle than what my current skills can handle, and fail, because I learn so much more by failing. So as long as you keep your mindset positive and never give up, it's gonna be alright. But anyways, that's all I have got for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. So until next time, see you later.